today's attitude about wrestling is completely different than it was in the time that Humpy and I was involved. Hump and I were more or less guys that took young boys with potential and developed them into major attractions in wrestling. And I don't really see anyone doing that anymore. It was a more one-on-one personal relationship with a guy that you gained his trust, and he understood that if he would listen to you, that he had the best possible chance of making it, So I don't think that they have managers such as Hump and I, where they have more or less people. They're more or less showpieces, They're someone to pull a leg or do something. But Hump and I, we were your traditional managers. We were always scouting and looking for young guys to develop. And I think there's no one really doing that anymore. Nowadays, that's left up to the booking office and to the promotion. But in our time, Hump and I were free agents, and we had the ability to scan talent. And if we saw someone that we thought had potential, we would hook up with them and put them into the main event position. But nowadays, that's more or less handled strictly by the office.
Right. So it wasn't just an on-air role. You also would manage them off the air?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you were a real manager. You picked their opponents. You got them into programs. You took care of their traveling. You took care of their finances. You were a manager. And if you were their manager, you did everything 24/7 to better their career. Nowadays, it's more or less... it's someone that goes to the ring and stands around and pulls a leg or does something like that. But in all honesty, Humpy and I were traditional managers. We developed a lot of different guys over a long period of time in many different areas throughout the Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, Texas, so California. So we were actually managers.
Was there a certain type of wrestler you looked for that you thought would fit your style of managing?
Well, I didn't have a style. I adapted to the guy that I was with. Mainly what I looked for was someone that I noticed that the crowd was interested in. I more or less felt that if the people already liked them and had some interest in them, it would be a lot easier for me to present them in a favorable manner, and the people would even like them more. I didn't have a specific type. I had guys like the Spoiler, Gito Hernandez, George the Animal Steel, Chris Adams, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Al Perez, the great Kabuki, the great Muta, Larry Sabisco, Dickie Slater, Bob Martin, Dusty Rhodes. So I probably missed a few along the way, but I really didn't have a specific type of guy. I was more or less interested in finding someone that the people had a connection with and take advantage of that and blow them as high as I could.
Right. Did you look for maybe something that was just missing a little something that you could add to it? Or, some of those guys were already pretty established guys. Yeah.
But what my thing, I believe, I had the ability to watch a guy and tell him what not to do. Not so much what to do, but things that he would do throughout his match that were detrimental to keeping him from getting over the way he should. I was very good at structuring a guy, getting rid of the bad things he did and focusing on all the positive things.
Right. Some of those guys you mentioned were already pretty good promo guys, or some of the best promo guys, and some of the guys really didn't talk at all. Did you have to take that into consideration, maybe talk less for the guys who did promos themselves?
Well, the way I handle it, and I believe Humperdinck did also, if a guy was capable of having a good interview, then you would let him speak, because you wanted to get his persona over. And if he could do that through his own interviews, you would allow him to do that. And then if a lot of guys were camera shy or weren't really that good at formulating a position and explaining what the match was about and why the match was coming out and why the people should see it, then I would handle that myself. But if I had someone that could speak for themselves, I was very happy to let them speak on the interviews.
Right. Right.
You have to have the ability to adapt to a guy's style. You have to have the ability to know who he has chemistry with, who he has his best matches with. You have to be able to get him in a mindset that he's worthy of being in the position that he's in. And nowadays, that's no longer an essential part of wrestling. They more or less have 10 to 12 guys that they feature. And so you really, a guy like Hump and I don't know if we would fit the wrestling mode today. It has changed. The business has changed considerably.